Many will likely look back on 2024 and lament its flaws, especially on the live service front. However, if one genre saw the most success, it's role-playing games. The year saw many compelling new titles and sequels catering to every kind of player. Looters with deep combat and compelling loot to chase. Memorable stories with characters that we formed seemingly lifelong bonds with. Impactful decisions that rippled throughout our stories, and gorgeous vistas with a near-endless amount of detail. RPG fans were truly eating good this year. While next year looks even more jam-packed with incredible adventures, what are some of the best role-playing games from 2024 that deserve your attention? Join us as we sift through the dozens of choices and present the best RPGs of the year that must be experienced. Path of Exile 2. For all the complaints against its rewards, endgame, map layouts, etc., Path of Exile 2 is still an incredible action RPG, even in early access. Each class and their ascendancies presented multiple new options. The skills are impressive, while combat feels visceral, and the bosses present some of the best encounters in the genre. The fact that such a sizable endgame is available right now, complete with pinnacle bosses, is also incredible. Yes, there are plenty of things to improve, but Path of Exile 2 is proving just as addictive as its predecessor, and will receive double the amount of content before early access ends. Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. Even if it doesn't feature the skill trees and build crafting of its successor, Horizon Zero Dawn remains one of the best open-world action RPGs in history. A remaster would probably be redundant, but Nixxes and Guerrilla Games did more than upres and polish some textures. The studio completely overhauled the foliage, lighting, shadows, and environments, and recorded over 10 hours of new motion capture animations. Character models, cutscenes, snow deformation on terrain throughout the world, and not only in Frozen Wilds, it's all here. If you haven't played the original, this is a great place to start, and if you have, it's a trip down memory lane like no other. Enshrouded. 2024 was a strong year for survival sandbox titles with the likes of Nightingale, after all of its improvements, Pal World, Sons of the Forest, and more. Enshrouded is one that's slightly underrated and yet arguably the most ambitious, with its voxel world, combat, and scale. The sheer amount of content available is ridiculous for early access, whether you're traipsing through dungeons, clearing shroud routes, or developing your class with the free-form skill tree. It's only going to get better in the coming year, but for now, there is a lot to dive into. Ys 10 Though slightly underwhelmed by the new combat system and sailing, Ys 10 is still a solid entry in the franchise. Adol's journey through Obelia Bay alongside newcomer Karja Balta offers solid areas to traverse, and the new movement options, including grappling and the mana board, feel great. And for its faults, the parrying and dual attacks feel great to execute. If nothing else, Ys 10 is a solid entry point for new players to the series before moving on to Ys 8 and 9. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Almost 8 years after its official announcement, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink finally released for PS4, PS5, and PC. And while its story and characters leave something to be desired, the presentation and visuals are on top, bolstered by some of the sleekest combat available. The sheer variety and depth of each character, whether you're switching stances and unleashing lethal slashes as Narmaya or managing familiars as Fairy, is incredible, while the bosses feel challenging yet fair, except Lucilius because of course. With a solid endgame, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink may scratch that hack-and-slash itch for dozens of hours. Shun Showdown. More of a strategy RPG with roguelike and deck-building mechanics, Shun Showdown rewards positioning and proper skill combinations as you clear out threats, upgrade skills, and push ever closer to the titular Shogun. Oftentimes, it feels no frills, but the focus on tight gameplay and broken builds with new characters and other unlocks carries the experience in surprisingly enjoyable ways. This year offered no shortage of roguelikes, but Shun Showdown's sleek combat should not be missed. Audin Chronicle 100 Heroes. A spiritual successor to the Suikoden franchise, Audin Chronicle offers exactly what it describes: more than 100 heroes to choose from and create parties with. Granted, there is a lot more to it, with Nawa and his allies rebelling against the Chaldean Empire, recruiting allies to their cause. You get a base to expand and build out, learn new skills, partake in turn-based battles with their fair share of gimmicks, and explore other perspectives like Sign and Marisa. Audin Chronicle is old school in the best and worst ways, but it's worth a look all the same. Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. Don't Nod's title may fall under the action RPG category with its combos, character switching, and progression, but it equally emphasizes choice and consequence. Will you help Antea ascend to the afterlife or resurrect her? How many other spirits will you save or sacrifice to achieve your goals, especially given the morally gray nature of some cases? The combat itself is appealing, but deciding which morally onerous route to take and watching the fallout is the real crux of Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden. The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak. Where East 10 Nordic's faltered when branching out in new directions, The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak succeeds. Its new cast is compellingly well written. The new combat options, especially the addition of real-time attacks and Grendel, mix up encounters in exciting ways, and the visuals are a massive step up from other previous entries. With about 110 hours on average requiring to finish everything, it's also a massive role-playing experience that will keep you busy for a long while. Core Keeper. Exiting early access this year, Core Keeper surprised us with its responsive combat, colorful aesthetic, and sheer amount of content. The gameplay loop is addictive as you work your way through the initial bosses, crafting and unlocking new weapons and armor, seeking out better materials, and venturing past the outer wall to face even stronger threats. If you want to hang around your base, automating tasks, building railways, farming, and creating defenses, that's also very much possible. Even more content is coming next year, and we cannot wait to see how the experience evolves further. Arco. Compared to most titles on this list, Arco isn't the biggest game, with about 12 hours or so required to finish most of its content. However, it's still an epic experience with hundreds of locations, skills, and more to discover as you embark on a Mesoamerican adventure from the perspective of 4 heroes. A gorgeous pixel art style and choices that can haunt you, sometimes literally. It's a role-playing journey with a surprising amount of depth despite its short runtime. Another Crab's Treasure. A role-playing game that's more in the vein of a Souls-like, Another Crab's Treasure sees players venturing through the ruins of the underwater world, using different shells to augment defenses. Along with learning new abilities and shaping your playstyle with shells, the combat is also fun and responsive, with assist options available to tweak the challenge. Don't let the cartoony visuals fool you either, as dark revelations await to be uncovered.
Mario & Luigi Brothership. Mario & Luigi Brothership sees players traveling to mysterious islands and uncovering their secrets. The likes of Bowser and Princess Peach appear in the game, while Mario and Luigi's combined attacks and moves, both in and out of combat, have also seen some enhancements. Then there's Twist Island, housing the Twist Tree, Sabretta Island, where birds seem to kidnap the residents, Xenia Lever Island and its economic-driven denizens, and Kundan Island, composed of magma and ice. As for combat, timing button presses is important to take full advantage of a combination attack, which turns into a solo attack if either character goes down. The giant thunderstorm, Thunder Dynamo, is a brother attack, which requires brother points but deals massive damage.
Last Epoch. Path of Exile 2 may have captured the hearts of hardcore ARPG fans, but Last Epoch is still a strong runner-up. Its classes and masteries offer a strong degree of choice without going overboard, while the crafting system remains as fantastic as ever. As throwaway as the story can feel, the Monolith of Fate offers a strong endgame with branching timelines, dungeons, factions, and bosses to tackle. Season 2 is still several months away, but it's adding even more content with champions, the new Weaver faction, endgame threats, and more. Dragon Quest III HD-2D Remake. Visually, it's one of the best showcases of the HD-2D style with sharp character sprites and gorgeous environments with excellent textures, lighting, and shadows. And while there's new content to expand on the story, including episodes showcasing Ortega's fate and the monster arenas, playing Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake feels like stepping through a door to the past. Its storytelling and plot twists hold up. The world is still a joy to explore with its secrets and surprises. And despite how streamlined the combat is, there's plenty of challenge to be had. Dragon's Dogma 2. When Dragon's Dogma 2 was presented in all of its glory, several aspects like the new vocations, pawn, and combat made sense. While all of this remains incredible with a wealth of options to invest in, it's the world that truly captivated us. The emergent gameplay made it feel like anything could happen, and with limited fast travel, you were forced to confront its challenges head-on and unearth its various secrets. It's not always the most intuitive or convenient, but Dragon's Dogma 2 captured that old-school feel of RPG exploration in a contemporary package like few other games. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. RGG Studios' Like a Dragon franchise is about many things. The deep narrative and interpersonal relationships alongside the conflicts born from them, the side stories and quirky characters involved, the play spots and activities like karaoke and more. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth does not deviate from all of that, though there is a lot to do, but it leans even harder into its predecessor's RPG mechanics. There are more jobs to master, team-up attacks to unleash, and loot to master. Even the pound mates have been revamped, offering more than one-and-done attacks. Black Myth Wukong. As the breakout action RPG of the year, Black Myth Wukong wastes no time throwing you into the action against overwhelming bosses that must be overcome with tenacity and skill. From there, it offers numerous ways to improve your character, including new additions to each stance, transformations with their own distinct abilities, and upgrades for weapons and armor. For those who haven't played it, now is the best time, since a recent update adds maps for better navigating the world and options to rematch against bosses. Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree. As many weapons, ashes of war, and spells as the base game offered, Shadow of the Erdtree goes even harder, while bringing new weapon types to the foray. You can embrace the dry leaf fighting style for some sick martial arts moves, or even unlock a new flash physique which enables Sekiro-like parrying with properly timed blocks. With all these new options comes a bevy of near impossible challenges, from the story bosses to optional fights like on Jagged Peak. Yet the thrill and satisfaction of victory tastes all the sweeter. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Maintaining the real-time combat and ATB system of its predecessor, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth evolves its encounters with new synergy attacks, with two party members teaming together for powerful combos. New party members like Yuffie, Cait Sith, and Red 13 bring even more unique playstyles to the forefront, while there's new materia to discover and experiment with, side quests to complete, and heaps of minigames to clear. As extensive as Remake was, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is bigger in all the best ways. Metaphor ReFantazio. Set in the fictional United Kingdom of Uchronia, Metaphor ReFantazio has, at the time of this writing, sold over 1 million copies across the PS5, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Players taking on the role of a protagonist who has undergone a number of challenges in their life will embark on a quest that could last over 100 hours. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.